Hi, everybody. This is episode 15, and I believe it's part 3, maybe 4. I don't know. What did I say? Part 4 of doing a chalk painting. So, yeah. If you haven't started this yet, please go back to the following videos. They are posted. And if you want to draw along with me, there are links in the description below. And yeah, so let's get started. Oh. Is everything cutting in and out already? Okay, here we go. This is what we're working on. We're working on the hair right now. So before we get started, the materials we're using is chalk pastel bricks or soft pastel, and then also pencils of the same medium. We are using a knead eraser. A knead eraser. I like to use an electric eraser. Mono eraser, which is a mechanical eraser. Some blending stumps. Handheld sharpener, because the chalk pastel pencils are very fragile, so you don't want to use an electric sharpener for that. 2 pieces of paper. One to do color swatches on if you're not 100% sure what to use. And the other one is to prevent smudging by accident. So. And then another thing that would be useful is either print off a copy of the reference photo in color, or have it transferred into a photo editing app. It's upside down. There we go. This way you can easily compare the colors for what you're going to be doing. I like to increase the opacity to the fullest and also put on strobe so you can see the differences between your drawing and the reference. I'm going to color pick to see what we need for colors. There's some part that's collected a little bit of pink. So it's very pale skin tone that we're using. I already did like a undertone of white so it blends easier. So let's see if I can recreate this. I don't know if I can, but we'll give it a go. We'll see. I'm just putting a little bit of the skin tone in there, just a few little lines, short lines. We will blend it out. You won't see the lines. This is the highlight, so we do not need to add a ton of colors. Like a ton of, yeah, ton of colors. We have extra extra kids at home today because there's no school here right now. It is a long weekend. Blending it with one of my fingers. I think that worked out pretty good. This is just the blocking stage of the hair. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. There, we got the blocking done. I need to blend this section out a little bit. There. It would be good to have a piece of paper towel with you so you can wipe your fingers clean after every time you blend. Now we can go ahead and get into the details. I'm going to work from the top, I'm going to do the top left all the way down to the bottom left, and then work my way on the other side. So right where the hairline, this part in the hair is, that's where I'm starting. Why is this just going between the two? It doesn't seem to be going anywhere else but these two. There's always something with this this stream. So I'm not doing the entire hair all the way through. I'm just trying to recreate those little teeny tiny shapes that I see with that color that I'm using. Try to avoid drawing the individual hairs because then it just looks more like cartoon work. I'm using gray and brown for this. Sorry. And black. You can follow the hairlines, but just focus more on the shapes of the shadows and highlights, the changes in color of the hair. I'm going to take a tiny blender. Mine needs to be clean, so I'm going to use that sandpaper that comes with every drawing tool and just rub it on there to clean it up. And you can just do this on paper too if you want to, but I find it's quicker and cleaner if you just use the sandpaper. I'm also going to be using some peach and white with the pencils. And I see that there's a section of hair that is darker, and I'm just going to add some peach to it because we still kind of want it to be more on the blonde side. I'm going to avoid using yellow because there's not a lot of yellow in her hair. And just focus on the shapes. Like this section is a little darker, but in the middle of that section it's a little lighter. So worry about the shapes and the direction of where the hair is going. I'm going to add a few little dark spots of like the underneath all the top layer. Just a few. Just give it a bit more depth to it. And I'm just using some brown. I'm also going to use some brown right at the hairline and a little bit of black. At the hairline, the hair is actually going outwards from the face. So we're going to do some lines going up and out. And then just a little bit of blending. Make sure the blending stump is clean when you're doing, especially when you go do dark areas and then you go back to lights, definitely make sure that you have blended. Now I'm going to take the Mono eraser. I'm going to add a few of the stray hairs because I don't want to go back and forth. So I'm going to do the last step here in this section. So I'm going to do some stray hairs, just picking up some of those white hairs that you see just going everywhere. And then adding a lot more, like working on the lighter areas too, adding a few little light spots in the center of that darker area. Just adding a few hairs in here. The white areas of the hair is going to pop out when we do the background, so you don't have to worry if you can't really see it at this point. So it's a gray color for this little dark area here. So I'm going to add a little bit of black to it. I'm going to add a little bit of brown too. focusing more on the shape of the shadows than the hair itself, but you are still using the stroke that follows the hair. Just blending it out. Might add a little bit of white to it just to make it more of a gray. And then blending that out, making sure that your blending stump is clean. Okay, going back with the black. I'm gonna do that little, like, behind all the hair in the front of her face. There's a black triangular shape that's kind of happening. An upside down V. I'm gonna add that detail there. Just those really dark areas with black. Adding quite a bit of black at this point. And then just a little bit of black for those darker areas in the curls. Following the direction of the hair for the strokes that you're using. Don't go all the way from the top to the bottom. Today's kind of like bring your child to work day, just because there's no school. I'm adding some brown. Just building up, slowly building up the shadows. Because I see the top of the curl is bright, but the bottom of the curl is a little darker. This isn't going to be exactly the same color as your reference photo, but it's still nice to compare and try your best to make it accurate. I only have a few colors to choose from because I got a small set of pastels. Okay, now I'm gonna blend. Still going in the direction of the hair, how it's flowing. And underneath the curls, close to her face, the hair is going away from her face. So we're going to add a few dark black strokes down there. and blend with your blending stump or your finger, but I find because we're doing finer details, the blending stump's a better choice. I'm going to add a little bit of brown in there too in some places. And add some some white over top of that gray area that we were working on earlier. And we can use, let's play around with the mono eraser and see how if it's sharper. I mean, not mono eraser, electric eraser. So you just push the button and then you just drag it in the direction you want it to go. I think I like that better. And just add a few random hairs in the dark areas that are shining through. Don't have to do a lot. I'm going to do that to the top part as well. Now we're moving to the tips of the hair, the ends of the hair. Hadn't had time to have my coffee before this video. Kind of woke up a little late this morning. I'm going to add some black to those darker areas. Trying to make those shapes that are being created from the different color differences and the highlights and the shadows. Then just a very little touch of the black down below at the tips of the hair, the ends of the hair. And some brown. You can go over top of the black. And in the dark shadows close to her face. I'm going to add some white over top of some of the black that I put on to make it more gray, but not all of it. Just those brighter dark areas. Like that makes any sense. I don't think it makes any sense. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm going to add a few little dark areas where that highlighted area is. Yeah. And blend it in. If you're blending into the dark areas first, make sure you clean it off before you go into the lighter areas. So it's better if you blend from light to dark, but yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take the mono eraser and I'm just going to pick up some of, not the mono eraser, the electric eraser, and just clean this off, see if that helps. I'm just rubbing it on this spare piece of paper to clean off some of that stuff. Just to pick up some of those highlights. Brighten it up a bit. You can just do a few in the shadows just to give it more texture. And clean it off again. Moving over closer to the chin, there's just this little small area. I just forgot the mics right there. There's like triangular shape that's black. I think this is actually part of the shirt, but we can work on it now. So darker right up higher, and then it gets a little lighter as it goes down. And then we blend that. This one you can do circular motions because you can't see the texture of anything at this point, whether it's the shirt or the hair. Okay, now we're going to do the right side, starting from the part in the hair and working our way down. There's a little bit of gray. We do have a gray pencil. Forgot about that. So I'm going to add some gray to it. This is the hair underneath the top layer. So just try to create those shapes that you see, those little tiny shapes. If you come up with a way to make it look natural, but it's easier, you don't have to try to make it exact, then do it. It's kind of what they do for hyper-realistic skin tones is just little abstract shapes that just mimic the texture of the skin. They don't actually trace all the little dots on the face. So they're turned into masters of mimicry. I don't know. I'm just making up words, I think. Just adding a little bit of brown in the back area. Just a bit, like the back, the very back of the head here.
Yes, you're coming for a walk, Jason. No. Yes, you are. I'm not, because you're making sad. Oh my goodness, Kyle. Look at me. Look at me. The reason why we're tossing out some old, broken toys is so that we have space so that we can get new ones eventually. Okay, would you like to have new
Just adding a little bit of black in some areas.
Okay, then we have to get rid of the old broken ones. We're not getting rid of the I love that toy so much. No.
And some skin, well, some peach in some areas as well. Okay.
Stuff that you don't play with anymore. I have not seen you play with in a long time, and that are broken.
And then just taking my little blending stump. I'm not dragging it all the way through, just following the directions of the hair with some, I'd say, medium-sized strokes. I'm going to add a little bit of dark. I think I might add a little bit of black just underneath where that curl is on the forehead. Just kind of add a shadow there. And some brown on top of that as well. And blend.
Make it sound like someone died out there.
And take the electric eraser and add a few highlights. And I was just cleaning the eraser before I started adding some more of those, adding those highlights, because once the eraser's a little covered with chalk pastel, it doesn't really pick up as much. The side is quite brighter because the sun is shining on that side of her face. So we don't need to add as much shadows to this side. But we do need to add enough to make it look 3D. So I'm using a brown because we don't need such harsh shadows like we did on the other side. There's just a few little areas that you can see the dark just poking through. I'm going to do a bit of peach too, just to add a bit of color in there. There is a little bit of pink that's reflecting on her hair too, but we're not going to worry about that. But just so you know, you can add a little bit of pink up here. And then take my blending stump. I'm just going to blend some of those, well, soften up those areas a bit. It's going in the direction of the hair. And then back to my electric eraser, cleaning it off a bit by just rubbing it on some clean paper and just adding a few, some over top of those shadows, just give it more texture. If you guys have any questions or just want to chat with me, don't hesitate to talk to me through the chat. It makes things more fun. Now I do see a touch of yellow in this section here. I'm going to work with the dark areas first, and then we can add that little bit of yellow. Not a whole bunch. Sorry, I'm just trying to grab the right tools because my hands are full. There is a touch of black. So I'm going to add that little touch of black there. And then there's a little bit of black that touches her face. Then I'm going to go in with brown and work more with that shadow I see. It just graduates from black to brown. So I'll just add some of that. Hi, Charity. What model phone are you using, and are you using any additional lighting? What model am I using? Oh my goodness, I got it for free. So, I think it's like an iPhone. Let me just see. I don't want to take this off. I have like too many phones. Let's go see what it is. Actually, I think I could look it up on here. It just says iPhone. I'm using an iPhone, of course, for this. Well, I'm saying of course because that's just what I've always been using, and I should know that. There we go. iPhone 12 is what I'm using. I should know what I have. And then, what was the other part of the question? Am I using any additional lighting? Yes, I am using additional lighting, but it's mostly for my stream and doing videos and stuff. So, but I can show you here real quick too what I have. So I have these things right here. It's pretty tall. There's 2 lights. They rotate, they bend. Yellow light, different settings of brightness. I got one on each side. But those are mostly just for my streams. They don't really bother me too much when I'm just drawing off screen. Or not bother, but like when I'm drawing off screen, I don't mind not having those on. In fact, I prefer them not on. So I'm just going to take my brown and add a little bit more shadows here. And just finding some of those shadows that are just underneath the highlights themselves, just creating some texture. And some black, just a very little bit of black in some areas, not a lot. And peach. Just worrying more about the shape of the colors that you're adding than the individual hairs. We do not want to work on individual hairs. It's a common mistake for people to draw one line going all the way from the part to the very tip, but it just doesn't look quite right when you do that, and it is a hard thing to give up when it comes to habits. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow in some areas because the sun's hitting it, but not a lot because it's not very bright. Like the blonde isn't bright yellow. It's more of like a grayish tone. And then we'll blend. Remember, if you start blending in the dark areas, remember to clean your blending stump to work on the light areas. And then taking the electric eraser and adding a few highlights and texture. I'm going to move over to get the other, like the right side of that section done, and then I'll move to the ends of the hair after that. Using a little bit of brown for those little shadows, not adding too much, just to create enough, a little bit of texture, that's all. I also have an Android Ultra phone, Samsung Galaxy 23 Ultra. So if you want me to do some of these live videos with that phone instead, I can do that, no problem, just to see how Android compares to the Apple. But there is, like, when it comes to the drawing aspect of the apps between the Apple and Android, they're pretty much the same. It looks a little different, but it's pretty much the same. It's got the same stuff. But when it comes to the main page, Android's missing the social aspect that was created with the app. Like, you have your own profile, you can post your own artwork, you can post your own inspiration photos for others to draw. And I wish Android was like that, because that would be awesome. But I'm not the developer, and yeah. There are two different ways to set up. Two very different ways to set up the Android and the Apple, and it's just like trying to learn two different languages, so it's not as easy as you might think to do. But that's why they decided to make the Facebook group. It's mostly meant for the Android users to be able to socialize with other Vinci artists, but there's quite a few people who use both the Facebook group and the app socialization with their, yeah. I had a thought, but I lost it. Okay, now it's time to blend using the blending stump. And this area is pretty light, so you don't need to worry too much about cleaning your stump while blending this section out. I think the camera quality of the phone is important because I struggle referencing back and forth from my back and forth on my Samsung. Yes, the camera quality does help. When I upgraded the iPhone that I used, it really changed quite a bit. And I do enjoy using my Samsung once in a while to draw because the quality of the camera on that's good as well. It's the only reason why I don't use it often is because I use the Samsung for my everyday life. And I mostly use the Apple for this. I was just cleaning off the electric eraser so that it can pick up a little bit better. And then I'm moving down to the ends of the hair. Let's work on the shadow between the hair and the face, which I see mostly brown than black. I don't see much black at all, if at all. So I'm just going to add brown. Working on the textures and the shape, not too worried about on trying to make the hair go from the top to the bottom. I see just a teeny tiny little bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit of that here and there, those really dark spots. Oh, did I cut out? Some peach. blending it out with the blending stump. I'm just cleaning it off a bit. I'm going to drag that just underneath her chin too, the shadow there. And take the electric eraser, clean it off a little bit before you go, and add stuff. And just pick up some of that area. It's little, you got some hair that's lighter than the skin underneath it, so we're going to try to pick that up as best as we can. We need to clean it off again. There we go. And then moving on to the last little section here. And just, I'm not going to worry about black. There's no black on this side, so just doing some brown. And just trying to follow the shapes, the direction of the hair, the texture, the shapes of the shadows and the highlights. All those elements together makes it look really good. Some peach. Another tip is you just try to, you don't try to not go back and forth. I just did that. If it happens, it happens, but try to go one stroke at a time. So we go from up, down, up, from top to bottom, and just pick up your pencil every time you do a stroke. And sure, I tell you that now when we're almost done the hair. Well, anyways, it is halfway through our video, so we're going to take a quick break and I will be back. We can do a little bit of Q&A or just chat for a bit, and then we can get back to drawing. We're back. If you guys have any questions or just want to chat, this is a good time to do so. I'm going to finish my coffee, which is really cold because I haven't really had a time to drink it. So I am not the developer of the app. Him and his wife are a duo. His name's Sam. He's in the Facebook group if you want to talk to him directly. I'm doing these lives to help you help you get better at your drawing skills, as well as learning the learning ways on how to use the app to its fullest. I can go over things like how to stream it onto your TV or try it on a different type of phone. My specialty is doing portraits with graphite or colored pencil, but I'm open to learning you the basics of anything. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you guys want to do, and I will do my best to get to it as soon as possible. What else can I talk about? I'm tired. If you guys have more like tech support needs, then you email them at info@davinciiapp.com, and he is pretty good at responding pretty quickly. Yeah, so yeah. All these drawings back here are mine. I like to show off my artwork, but I need to switch it over to something that's not copyrighted. And then I have a bunch of artwork that you guys saw a minute ago in front of me too. These ones are my originals. They're not copyrighted. Okay, well, I'm not done my coffee, but it's pretty quiet in the chat, so I don't want to be sitting here doing nothing. Let me just move my computer over, but I can still see the chat. Don't hesitate to talk to me at any time during the live, whether it's app related or not. But politics are out of the question for topics. So try to keep within art related stuff, but it doesn't have to be DaVinci app related stuff. I just want to chat. Makes me happy, makes me feel like this video is worth it. Doing live videos and stuff for you guys is when you guys talk to me. just cleaning it off, and then I'm going to add those highlighted hairs by picking it up. So we are done the hair. We're going to do the shirt now. And we're going to preserve the little flowers that are in front of her. So we're going to try to preserve the flowers. It means don't color it in. So I'm just picking up these traced marks with the knead eraser just to the point where I can barely see it. It is there, but it's barely noticeable because it will poke through the chalk pastel or the soft pastel, whatever you call it. And then you choose a pink that you think works. Might need to mix a little bit. There's only 2 shades of pink here I have. I'm gonna use both of them. Let's take a look at the colors. We can pick some colors here on the editing app. We'll just see what we'll figure out what we see. I see a touch of yellow or orange because her top is see-through. She's wearing a tank top underneath it. So some skin tones poking through. So we'll get some skin tone here, some white. And maybe some dark red and touch of blue, but I'm going to use the pencils for that because it's very faint. Like, not faint, but it's very small areas. I'm going to do a base of white in that entire area. This will help with blending and being able to pick up the color if needed with the eraser. And just blend that in with your finger, pushing it into the paper. And then I'm going to add I'm going to shade in all or color in all of the area with that light pink. Trying to avoid the light areas of the flower. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just Photoshop it manually and not worry about the flowers. So flowers don't exist anymore. That is a personal choice. I don't want to have to deal with trying to erase or preserve all that space because it's just going to be messy. We might be able to go over it, but we'll see. With a little bit of a knead eraser to pick it up later, we will see if that's possible. Play and learn, play and learn. And then just blend that in. So I usually have a brush to take off all this extra stuff when I use graphite, but because it's chalk pastel, it will just smudge if you use a brush. So I just blow it off. I'm going to use some darker pink. It's almost purple. Just in where the shadows are. Just so you know, I am using a mixed media paper, which isn't ideal for soft pastels. You can get a soft pastel paper, and it would work a lot better. You can build up colors better. It will stick to the paper better. I'm going to take my knead eraser and I'm going to just pick up where that tank top is, just by slightly rubbing the knead eraser on it. And then playing with it so it's clean. Just mix that in and it won't come out. It won't smudge everywhere. So, just a story about my mom, the artist, and my aunt, an artist. My mom and I are in Canada, and my aunt's from the United States. And the last time my mom went there to visit her sister, my mom brought her art supplies. My aunt saw the knead eraser, and she's like, "Oh, you need to replace that." And my mom's like, "Why?" She's like, "'Cause it's all gray. It's not supposed to be gray." But apparently, knead erasers are a different color, like pink or something. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm going to add some skin tone in some areas that are just poking through. And blend that in. And then I'm going to find red and blue and pink. And I think a little bit of lavender, or not lavender, violet. Oh, and I'm going to work on some more of the finer details. Sorry, I was having a hard time there for a second with words. Just adding some shading some shape to the shading. And I'm kind of making it up in this section because the flowers are in the way. So I'm trying to look past the flowers and see what I can see and then just fill in the blanks. I'm going to add a little bit of blue underneath the armpit here for a bit of a shadow. And I'm going to take some violet. Oh, yeah, violet. Doesn't look very violet to me. And then I'm going to blend. I'm using my hand for this. Probably going to add some dark pink with the brick here. And go over top of those areas. Now, I'm not the best with fabrics, especially with pastel. So yeah, it's not my specialty, but we're gonna work through it together, figure it out. If you guys have any ideas on how to make it better, you let me know. We'll learn off of each other. I'm just trying to build up the colors slowly. I'm trying to use the very tip of the brick because it's such fine details. I'm going to take the knead eraser and add some highlights. Just picking it up. The knead eraser is good for bigger places that need to have soft edges, not like the hair where it's lines. Taking the mono eraser for this, I'm going to add a few little details because there's like lace that's underneath this shirt, lace tank top. So I'm just kind of doing circles. I'm just picking it up some more. I am going to blend some color over top of it so it looks like it's underneath the material, not over top. I'm just going to rub my finger on the pink and then just go over top of it. Maybe just going back and forth between erasing and adding color until it gets to the point where you're okay with it. And this picking it up, just dabbing with my knead eraser because we still want We still want that pink, but not that bright, not that colorful. And it's kind of, oh, I need to clean my hands. I forgot to clean my hands. You can clean your hands by playing with the knead eraser too. It's like pressing your fingers into it. So it cleans your fingers and it cleans the knead eraser at the same time. It's kind of cool. Just studying the differences to see what I need to do next. A little bit of color here. I think I'm gonna just add a little bit more shadowing between that dark pink and the skin tone that's poking through because of it being see-through. Just dabbing some color in there because I don't want it too dark. And then some more skin tone underneath that. Just fine using the edge, make the smallest part of the brick to add some shadow between the shirt and the skin, the neck, the collarbone, that general area. And then I'm going to take the blending stump and just follow that, pushing that color into the paper. It's such a fine line, and that's why we want to go with the direction instead of just trying to like in circular motions like I normally do for most stuff. And then I'm adding some more of that dark pink at the bottom here. And upwards. I'm just trying to get that shadow. I see a bit of a shadow or like darker area. So partly just following that crease, or not crease, but like kind of like a wrinkle, not really too deep of a wrinkle, and then blending in circular motions. And adding some skin tone in those lighter areas. Just looking at the differences between the reference photo and my drawing and seeing what I can add to it. I think I might add a little bit of red in some areas. And some blue in the shadows. Maybe ever so slightly a bit of black on top of that, ever so slightly. And blend those areas in. I'm just using my pinky. And cleaning it off, just pressing my fingers into the knead eraser. I'm just playing with the knead eraser to clean that up. Taking the mono eraser and then just doing a few little, like a line of dots just going down for the stitching. You don't have to do this. Just something I feel like doing. You can see if there's any more stitching marks around. Nope, that's good. Now to the other side. Are we going to finish this today? We have like about a half an hour left. So I'm going to erase those pencil lines just to the point where they're barely noticeable. You still see them, but camera won't see them. That way it doesn't go through past the through the pastel. So yeah, I'm going to cover the whole area with white first, making it more easy to blend and also easier to pick up color if you accidentally add too much color. Okay, trying to clean my fingers. I'm gonna use some paper towel to clean my fingers. And then just blend it, pushing it into the paper. Blow off the rest of that, and then I'm going to fill all of it in except for the very top of her shoulder with the light pink. But I am going to blend that light pink all the way to the top, but it's going to be lighter because I'm just blending it upwards instead of taking the color right into it. I'm just going to clean my hands before I blend that up to the top. Just dragging it upwards because we don't want too much color, just a little bit. And then we are going to work on adding a little bit of the darker pink to it. Doing some of the shadows, some of the lines, the seam lines. We're going to blend that in. I'm going to add some skin tone right up to the top here, because it is a see-through shirt, as I said before. Let's see if we can find any more of that. No, I think that's pretty much the right colors. We're just going to refine it a bit. I'm taking the Mono eraser and just erasing that tank top, the straps of the tank top and the little lacy spot of the tank top as well. Just wanted to move that color over a little bit because it's not covering the entire area it needs to. And then some lacy areas. Kind of doing circular strokes, and then I'm just gonna lift that all up here in the center. And then just barely blending in some of that color. I just picked up a little bit of color from the dark area and then just touching it ever so slightly. And then taking the knead eraser, just playing around with it until you're satisfied with it in comparison to your reference photo. I personally am a very picky portrait artist. I like to make things as to the original as possible, the original photo. I'm going to take the red and just follow that seam line on the shoulder. It's kind of off, but that's my doing. And then there's a darker crease. I'm going to fill it up with red first and then go over it with a bit of blue and deeper to that crease. Oh, that's black. I need blue. Why did I do black? Let's just pick it up a little bit. It's okay. Happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would say. And then just a little bit in the shadow here. And then just following that seam line. I'm going to add some black to the shadow that's between the shirt and the neck and collarbone area. Maybe a bit of brown too, so it's not too, it doesn't look too much like a cartoon outline. We don't want that. Let's see if we can find brown. There's brown. I'll go over top of the black with that. I'm going to pick up a little bit of color to fill in that gap. And then take my blending stump and just follow that line, because we don't want to spread it out. We just want it in that spot, but we don't want it too harsh of a line. It's a little softer. Now there is a gap I noticed on the collarbone, so I'm just going to fill that up with brown and also just use the blending stump. I'm just taking another look just to see what we can add for shadowing and stuff. I'm going to add some more here. And then a bit in that crease. And then there. And then just blend that some more. Looking for some highlights to pick up. We're going to do a little bit on the top here, using the knead eraser to pick it up. Oh, I forgot to plug in the main tablet, so it's at a low percentage now. Hopefully nothing shuts down. If this tablet goes down, the stream goes down. It's not a good thing. Okay, so I'm just trying to pick up some of the highlights. Okay, I'm going to make a circular small section with the knead eraser to pick up those highlights there. There is a bit of tan in those highlights, or skin tone. I can just put that in a little bit. Here we go. Okay, I think we can work on the background. We're not going to do fine, like super detailed background. It's like green and yellow. We're just going to have fun with it. You do what you want. Do stripes or whatever. So it's tan. See, tan, green, blue, brown, that kind of stuff. It's kind of, what's the word? More earthy tones, not very bright. Might add a little bit of pink. The flowers in front of her are white, but I don't want to focus on that today. We can do this, and then we can do some fabric painting next video if we wanted to. I'm going to use a white too, so I'll show you. You can see the colors I chose on the thing here. Oh. Probably got chalk on my nose now. So I'm just gonna start with the brown, and I'm just gonna do some circles in the general places that they were. I'm not being exact, I'm just trying to recreate the clusters. Might add some bigger ones. I'll put some bigger ones in there. We can add a little bit of pink here and there because that's some flowers that are poking through. And then most of it's green and kind of white, so we'll just fill it in some areas. And then we'll add white after we blend. And then we can add a little bit more hair strands afterwards. So just circular motions, pretty loose circular motions. We're not doing fine circular motions like we would with graphite pencils with shadowing and blending. So let's just try to fill in that, just blending it all out, trying not to go over top of her in any way. Oh.
How hungry are you, Jason?
Pretty muddy looking, I know, but we'll work on it until we get to the point where we like it. I should have done some white underneath so it blend easier and you won't see the scribbles, but that's my bad. Take the knead eraser and kind of pick up some areas, circles. Doing some circles here and there. Some of the circles can overlap. Just keep on cleaning the eraser by playing with it. And then I'm going to go over those areas with some white, maybe adding a few extra white areas. You can do some bigger circles. Overlapping circles, extra circles, little circles. I'm not even looking at the app at this point. And then we'll just blend just those white areas. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the hair, the edges of the hair, and it looks like I can blend in some of that color a bit more. Like push it towards the hairline, like the edges of the hair here and there. And then we can add some stray hairs after that. And then I think we're done. Usually I'd spend a lot more time on the background, but I think just the basic background is good enough for today, for teaching. And let's grab our electric eraser, making sure it's nice and clean. I'm just going to add a few little stray hairs that are just popping through. Some kind of curving upwards, curving inwards, outwards, kind of circling around itself. Not always following the direction of the hair that it's next to. Maybe some that are overlapping each other and going in a similar direction. And then we'll do the bottom ends of the hair. We'll add quite a few down here. Okay. I'm not too happy with the background, but I just wanted to do something simple, something that's not going to take too long. It looks fine, but it's not my favorite. I'm going to take a Sharpie pen and oh, that's not going to work. Let me just see. No, we'll see if we can find something else. Maybe just a regular pen, a black pen, and put our signature on it. I choose pen because I don't want anybody to erase my signature. I also sign the back, date the back, put my name, print out my name on the back in the center, because I've had people steal my artwork. For example, I've had somebody order custom portraits, 20 of them, and they had erased my signature and put their signature on it to resell. And that's why I start signing the back in the center, so that in pen or something that is nearly impossible to erase, so that they can't lie about it anymore. But before I sign the back, I'm going to seal it. And because I don't want to go outside, I don't want to go outside, so I'm going to seal it with hairspray. It's not the best choice, but it will do the job. So it's going to smell like hairspray, and my husband hates it. But it's not going to make you feel funny afterwards. You can spray it inside and it's fine. And then also with hairspray, you can do that if you want the bottom layer to stay put. For the most part, you can still work with it. You can still play with it if you use hairspray. If not, I would use, just give me a second. Final Flexitive. Is that what it's called? I can't read, but use something like this. You want something clear, non-yellowing, to preserve your artwork. And you could use that for graphite too, charcoal, whatever. So it just keeps everything in place. Nothing will smudge. So anyways, it is 12 o'clock. Time for lunch. You guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the comments. I will see you next Thursday, and we'll do some fabric painting, and I will write down all the things you need to do beforehand on the group chat. Not the group chat, the Facebook group. So yeah, join the Facebook group and you can have everything set up and ready to go and just jump right into it next week. Anyways,